So I'm a stage manager for my high school's fall play. And one day, I was walking back to see what the actors were up to with one of the other stage managers near the end of the day, and I asked him what his plans for college were since he was a senior. And he told me that he wasn't 18 yet and he had to sign up for the draft. And so I asked him, oh, so you're gonna join the military? And he said no, and I think I misheard him here, because I thought he said that all men had to sign up for the draft in order to apply to college. So I was pretty disturbed by this. Most of the students involved in the play are seniors, and I have a respect for all of those people. I suppose it's because they're involved in plays, and when you're playing a character, you have to be sort of out there and interesting, and they themselves are very interesting people. You can't get an adult conversation out of them. And so I had gained a respect for all of them. And to think that the guys would have to apply to the draft against their will, just so, well, not exactly against their will, but you can't go to college unless you do that, is just a very uneasy thought. But anyway, I soon found out that wasn't the case. But the alternative wasn't better. So by the time the bell rang and we were getting ready to leave, I asked one of the actors, a guy, I asked him, do you have to apply to the draft to go to college? And he was thinking for a while and he said, I don't think so. And then he realized, oh no, I think it's financial aid. You have to apply to the draft in order to get financial aid. So I looked it up, and sure enough, he was right. It says here on this article in howstuffworks.com, I'll put the link in the description, on page 2 it says, the government also maintains the Selective Service System, the SSS. The primary purpose of the SSS is to provide the military with additional manpower in the event that volunteer forces are not sufficient to handle a war or other national emergency. In other words, it is in charge of overseeing the draft whenever it is reinstated. And it says on this other article on about.com, penalties for failure to register for the draft. Men who do not register could be prosecuted and, if convicted, fined up to $250,000 and or serve up to 5 years in prison. In addition, men who fail to register with selective service before turning age 26, even if not prosecuted, will become ineligible for, and it lists some things, including U.S. citizenship, federal job training, federal jobs, and student financial aid. Now, this same article lists some of the financial aid services that would be denied to men if they did not apply for the draft. And it seems, I didn't check very well, so I could be wrong, but it does seem that they're all available to women without this requirement. Given there doesn't seem to be a conflict that the U.S. is having where they'll need more military assistance anytime soon, or at least to draft men. But there could be. And if there was, we know what the United States is saying. It doesn't matter. Men don't matter. If necessary, men can die. That's just how it is. And if this isn't the case, many questions also come forward. First of all, why aren't women required to sign up for the draft? If women are equal, they have equal ability, equal skill, why can they avoid the draft? If women don't have equal ability and equal skill, then why can women in the US join the military if they so choose? It says in this other article, Women and the Draft in America, in May 1994, President Clinton asked the Secretary of Defense to update its mobilization requirements for the Selective Service System and, as a part of the effort, continue to review the arguments for and against continuing to exclude women from registration now that they can be assigned to combat roles other than ground combat. In its sequence report, the DoD position remained that the restriction of females from assignments below the brigade level, whose primary mission is to engage in direct combat on the ground, provides justification from exempting women from the registration and the draft, as set forth in the decision of the U.S. Supreme Court in Rostker v. Goldberg, 1981. So, because women in the military are excluded from ground combat, and conscription focuses on positions that require ground combat, women can avoid the draft. This actually raises a bigger problem because in the case of the student financial aid, students who are female can just get financial aid, whereas men have to agree to risk their lives, which just isn't fair in every sense of the word. So, what's the solution? So let's say that financial aid is easier for men to get because they have to sign up for the draft, or maybe even impossible for women to get because men have to sign up for the draft. It still rubs you the wrong way. Many people in this country depend on student loans just to go to college, and it still shows that men wouldn't really have a choice. Of course, they don't have a choice. They could face prosecution, but in many cases they don't. But even still, though prosecution is low, I mean, so many people need student loans. And not to mention, though it would be wrong, I could imagine many women going together, demanding that women be able to get access to student loans, asking, why is it a crime to be a woman? Women need these student loans too, because women deserve an education. Well, so do men. Men shouldn't say that men shouldn't have to die. Men shouldn't deserve an education too. Of course women deserve an education, but men deserve an education too. So honestly, I'm tempted to say, forget about the draft. Who cares if the country gets itself into a problem where they need more military assistance? The individual man doesn't owe the country anything just because he was born there. But how do I judge that? What if more people really were likely to die without the draft? Well, thinking of human rights, it's still the individual's decision to risk his life, and no one else's.